why don't you just start thinking about what's the craziest LinkedIn post we could make? And that's what kicked off the idea for the interview coders. Like, we're like, dude, I'm pretty sure this is gonna get 1 million views, and let's just post it and see what happens. And we posted that, and eventually it did get like 1 million views. And then we're like, holy shit, this worked very well. Let's just keep doing this and see where it goes. And eventually, this becomes I'm like front page of Twitter, and like at one point, bro, like things just start working so well, you realize like, oh fuck, I'm looking at the frontier or something. I can see where this takes me. And then interview coder is like the little translucent glass pane that will cheat on LinkedIn interviews, and you start like, man, what if, like, I know we're not that tough yet, but like, what if Logi just make this work for everything? And that's what sparked the idea for Cluely, because I'm pretty sure I just know how to make a bunch of people see something. So what's the biggest idea we could plant in? And it's the biggest idea.
Have you always been like this? Like, have you always like? I mean that like in a nice way. Because like you clearly cracked something here. So like, have you always been wanting, like, good at getting attention onto the things you're doing?
My earliest memory of all consciousness is when I was 5 years old in kindergarten. We used to have like show and tell. I couldn't read for shit back then, but I used to bring like Korean books, like novels. We used to read them out loud to the class and translate them in English. I was speaking gibberish the whole time. The whole time I was just thinking like, what is the craziest story I can come up with to get the whole class to like react about something. I've really been in the space of content creation for too long. I've been in the space of attention getting for my whole life.
That's in your blood. That's good. So I mean, like, you had Interview Coder, blew up. We wrote about it in TechCrunch. I remember when it was happening, and kind of take me through what happened like right after that. Like, you basically dropped out of Columbia, right?
Yeah. I mean, as it was going on, I think everyone liked to say like, yo, like you're getting kicked out of school, like you really got to think about it. Like, man, dude, you're obviously way too far deep for your one Twitter comment to be like, oh fuck, you're right. Like now I got to go back and redo everything. And like you get stuck between a rock and a hard place very quick. And as soon as Columbia sends me like essentially. For those that don't know the story, I post about it. I post about getting a job in Amazon with it, and I make it public, and it gets like 100,000 views. And then Amazon and Columbia are both like breathing down my neck. And as soon as Columbia sends me the first letter saying, "Hey, you got to go to a disciplinary," I knew like I'm fucked. This product is fucked. There's nowhere this goes. But I have one thing right now, which I feel like nobody else in the world has, which is like I'm the hottest thing on tech Twitter. Let me investigate this space and see how far it goes. I don't even remember the original question, but
so I want to talk to you a little bit because startup marketing sounds really boring.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of fell asleep a little bit just saying that, but you've made it like really exciting. And whatever you're doing, it doesn't feel like marketing. Like, it just feels like these like viral moments that are just like blowing up because they're controversial. Like, you're doing things that other startups wouldn't. Like, people are outraged by it. People are enraged by it. I mean, what are people getting wrong about startup marketing that you seem to have cracked?
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's like what people are getting wrong about social. Well, like the original problem here is like everyone who's good at engineering, you're any good at engineering, you're probably not funny, and you're probably not going to be a content creator because you don't have it in your blood. And realistically, like most of these people have no chance of going viral. And the thing is, like, you don't need to. Like, look, if you build GPT, then like you don't need to go viral. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
But if you're building like AI meeting note taker, then you probably want to stand out somehow. Realistically, what I think most people don't understand is that social media has extremified pretty much everything. And in order to stand out, you have to be like very different. And what worked in the past, like I really don't think Airbnb's stunts of like the Obama O's or whatever, like that wouldn't really fly today because that's not like every day people are used to seeing crazier and crazier things. So to stand out, you have to be even crazier, which is why like you just see different content on the timeline. Which is why everyone gets mad and like she says like, oh my god, like this is like some new AI disruptive, like evil, like everyone building like some random computer out there anyways. So it's not even that bad. But like you just have to frame yourself in a way that is differentiated. I think I'm particularly good at framing myself in a way that's controversial. Honestly, I don't even think I rage bait. Like really, I think I'm just honest and like authentic. And I think people just see that as rage bait because they get enraged. But it's probably just my personality.
What do you think people find controversial about Cluely?
I mean, like from the start, like you say shit on everything.
Yeah.
And this was a bet. Like this was something like. Let me actually give you a better answer. What do people find so controversial about Cluely? I think I do a lot of things that are different, and every single thing I do that's different, I frame it through the filter of my voice, and my voice just is naturally very enraging to a lot of people. like the way that I speak and describe about things, I just have a hyperbolic way of saying things. So if I say, like, I could go out and say, yo, we're building a desktop assistant that will help you, or I could say, like, yo, cheat on everything, and to me, like, that just sounds more like myself.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that underlying, you know, your marketing strategy, there's this notion that like people are too worried about brand safety. You know, that like if you go and make something that like gets people upset, that gets people angry about it, I think a lot of brands want to steer clear of that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
put an apology. It seems like you don't care about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious to anybody who I think is under the age of 25 and like scrolls regularly that like reputation is sort of a thing of the past. Like you can try and be like the New York Times or whatever and guard your ironclad reputation, but like realistically, you have Sam Altman who's like on the timeline talking about Hawkeyes, and you have Elon Musk like going batshit crazy on the timeline. Everything. It's like realistic. Like how is this possibly the world that we live in? And you just have to realize that the world is trending to a different place where you have to be extreme, you have to be authentic, and you have to be personal, and that is extremely at odds with being super corporate.
And I feel like there's a lot of people doing this right now. Like right outside, there's a startup, I think Artisan, their thing is like don't hire humans.
Yeah.
And then there's Friend, who their thing is just like, you know, we're making an AI device that you can be friends with. So like I'm curious, like who do you think is doing it well right now? Like who do you think is taking what Cooley has found and is doing it the right way?
The right way. I mean, there's like, okay, so I guess there's two big things that you have to worry about. And for all marketing, your marketing falls in one of two categories, very rarely both, and it's either top of funnel or it's bottom of funnel. Like it's meant to say, hey, like you can either send the message of, hey, look at us, we're Cooley, and get the idea in people's heads, or you can send the message of, hey, download us to get AI meeting notes. And like the two are at odds. You can just get more impressions than reach by saying crazy shit, just attaching the Cooley to it, which is why you see like Stripe powers like fucking autonomous vehicle data with Stripe, or like these billboards, and it's like, just get Stripe in your head a lot. And then later you see the one ad that's like, okay, Stripe does this for you, just like easy payments online. And then you're like, oh, Stripe, the fucking billboard that I've seen like everywhere. Of course I'll buy it now because it's primed in my head. And I think if you only have one and not the other, then it will be very hard. Like it's just not good marketing. And for you to have very good bottom of funnel, you actually have to have like a product that works. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where a lot of the people in my generation like fail. Because like low-key, there's only so many magic moments out there. And like at one point you can get all the top of funnel and all the initial traffic you want. And at some point people have to retain and people have to like spread the product because they enjoy the product.
Yeah. And I mean, I want to ask you about that because like the theory that you have that distribution is everything, like I think Cooley in a lot of ways has become the benchmark for that theory.
Yeah.
So how's your business doing?
We're doing well. What I've learned is there's only like I'm pretty sure you should never share revenue numbers because the only thing, like if you're doing well, nobody's going to talk about how well you're doing. If you're doing poorly, then everybody will only talk about how poorly you're doing. And Twitter generally trends very, very critical and very negative. It's because it's just a bunch of like jealous engineers who like don't want to see anyone succeed except like themselves. And realistically, I'll say like we're growing quicker than I expected, but it's not the fastest growing company of all time.
Yeah, I think that's which is they were on our stage like a day ago, and they're sharing the right venue numbers, and you know, it doesn't seem to be going so bad for them. So.
Yeah, I'm if you literally are the fastest growing company.
Well, there you go. Yeah. What about like users? Like, do you guys have like a monthly active user count?
We do, but I think this is just another thing that if you share, then none of your other competitors will share, and all of them will just use that as data against you. And realistically, the second they do better, like it just gives them like fuel to the fire. And I think there's other ways to get impressions and gain goodwill without doing that.
Okay. What about retention? Like, because I mean, you're clearly getting a lot of comments, but like, do they stay?
The retention has gone up 3x from launch.
Okay.
And that's a number I'm comfortable sharing. But I also won't share numbers here because I think again, like it's just like everyone else will get marked against each other. But when we launched, like the product didn't work at all. So like
I guess it's good that retention went up from there.
Yeah. So it's up 3x from there. That's appropriate.
I mean, you mentioned this before that you basically created the launch video for Cluely with just kind of the idea and then kind of made the product work after, which actually I think you're just pretty honest about that. I think a lot of startups do that. But talk to me about like working kind of backwards from getting distribution and then the product.
Yeah, I think if there's, oh man, I can't even say if it's a mistake, but one thing that I wonder is maybe we could have launched too early, because like just for the first 3 weeks, like even if you downloaded it, like you realistically just could not use it. And right now, a lot of the reason for lower product velocity right now than I would like is because we're suffering from a lot of tech debt from a quick launch, and then now we have to maintain backwards compatibility with all like the random bullshit frameworks that we added just because things are going down so fast. And I think there is such a thing as launching too early. But also, like, I mean, we did like it's the fucking Cluely launch. Like, how can I say like, oh, I regret like being most powerful? Like, it did well for us.
Do you think you bit off more than you could chew with the launch video?
Nah, I don't think so. I think people don't give a fuck. People don't care. But at the end of the day, it's like, oh, this is like a good product for sending follow-up emails. Like, I'll use it for that. Like at the end of the day, if you just get like a couple thousand users, like they will find a use case for you. And that was the whole idea. Is let's launch something that barely works, and then if we can get enough initial users, like they will become the power users. They will find out the use cases for us. And that is what ended up happening. And now like our core power group of users is just people who have tried it and experienced like very different things than we expected to. It's the whole reason why I went like narrowly scope. Well, everyone's using this for professional meetings, but I was just build it for that.
Yeah. So that's what the power users have told you, is that they just want to use it for meetings?
Well, they just do use it for meetings.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's what you're building towards now.
Yeah, I mean, and this is another thing. I don't know if this is inevitable. I'm beginning to think that perhaps every company that lands in a space, everyone just sort of like radially descends down to the most optimal version of the solution, which is why like Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts all look the same. And like perhaps that is true, and perhaps it is also the case that the day Cluely launched, and we were destined to end up here. Whether we talked to a bunch of users or whether we got super viral and then used the usage data, I'm not sure though. These are still things that I'm like figuring out.
So like now you're in the thick of it. Like when the launch video went out, like, you know, and you had some of like the viral stunts where you like hired 50 interns to like just be influencers. You know, that was in a much earlier stage. Now you're like, okay, you've got some users, you're trying to grow them. Do you feel like the focus on distribution, like the influencers that you guys have, like the focus on social media is a distraction now from actually building the thing?
No, and the reason is because you can just hire people to do it for you. And well, right now I can spend a lot of my time like not doing that thing, and now the marketing channels I can just like one-to-one give to other people. I think this is something that every startup probably needs to think about more, because there's just so many startups that die because they could have PMF, but they don't find it because they can't get seen by users. In fact, I know probably like 4 products off the top of my head that like would be like crazy, like yo, let's copy all of their UI, but they're not seen by anybody, and they get like fucking like less than 1% of the web traffic. So they're just gonna get steamrolled. And I think like realistically, most startups do not die because like the product is not there. Like if you're in a problem space and you're like solving something, even the tiniest fucking problem, like there's money to be made there, you die because you can't find the money. And people just need a hard focus. Like I think generally, if you're not in deep tech, then you need a low-key hard focus on building distribution. If your problem even remotely solved, remotely solves the problem that you're trying to, you gotta get in front of people, bro.
But like, if you guys have like millions of views, like on X, on TikTok, on Instagram, but you don't have millions of users, like, I mean, like, talk to me about like conversion, because to me, it's like if people see it and then the product's good, they'll convert into lasting users, theoretically, right? Like, so why not just focus more on building the product now? Because like you are still, I mean, you might hire people to do it, but like you're in the TikToks, like you're, you know, clearly like you're still a part of it. Right?
I see, like the world is so much bigger than people think, and even if you spend, as an extreme, if Mr. Beast started any company and just gave you a blank term sheet. He didn't even tell you the industry. He just said, yo, I'm Mr. Beast, I'm building the company. Like, what post money? Like, you probably get like fucking like $1 billion post money offer just because it's like, oh, it's Mr. Beast, I trust him. So obviously at an extreme, everyone believes that if you have enough distribution, then it doesn't really matter, you can just teammate yourself. And right now, like there's a big, like it might not seem like that in tech, but there's a big jump, like a huge, massive jump between us and Mr. Beast. There's just like an enormous alpha to be gained there. There's always like a best thing to do, and certainly like I spend a lot of my time on product right now, which is why you see me tweet a lot less. But like there's like a globally optimal thing to do, but there's like 100 other really fucking great things you can do. And there's many roads to building a generational company. And one of the roads could theoretically, like maybe the globally optimal strategy is just fucking spend the next 5 years Mr. Beasting yourself and then build a company. And maybe in that 5 years, like your momentum in building the distribution will just be better than anything you could have done on product.
I'm curious, like, if everyone starts doing this, if everyone starts doing optimizing for viral rage bait content. I know you said you don't do rage bait, but like if everyone starts doing this, do you feel like we end up in sort of like a race to the bottom?
I mean, not really. At the end of the day, like you can't fake anything long term, really. Like at the end of the day, the best products will win, and the best marketing will win. And if your marketing wasn't the best, then like you will die. And I actually don't think that rage, if there is a globally optimal way of getting people to convert to the product, then people will do that. And if it is rage bait, then it will be net better for the entire world because it will mean that everyone will get value faster. But it's very likely that it's not rage bait because things get saturated very quickly. And if everyone is posting rage bait, then it's not even bait anymore. Maybe it'll be like hope bait in the future.
So you have to level up now, is what you're saying. Like
differentiate yourself.
But this is the kind of content you were making before. You're like, okay, now everyone's doing that kind of stuff.
I really don't think everyone's doing that stuff. My biggest fear, I took a sort of like pause from tech Twitter to hard focus on product because at one point we had to compete it. And my biggest fear was like, bro, I gave everyone the fucking playbook. Like, there's gonna be another Woodley and it's gonna be over for me. Like, no, it didn't happen, bro. Like tech engineers just cannot make good content, bro. You give them fucking like 1,000 tries on that, and they cannot make good content. I think right now it's not saturated because like there's a bunch of shallow replicas, but I challenge you to find one video you think is like, yo, this is the stuff that's cool.
I mean, I'll take it, but Friend had like a pretty like crazy launch video that got a lot of people like in New York right now if you're on the subways.
Oh, yeah.
Like they have all that rage bait there, and it feels pretty intentional, right? Like is that not the Cluey playbook, or is that Friend playbook? Like
I'll check. Like what if like imagine for a second that Friend actually worked and it worked very well, like. And it literally could replace the function of like an actual threat. Then do you think people would have the same reaction? Like obviously fuck not. And as a counter, I'll say something that's been blowing up pretty well is in like Poke by Interaction. Theirs was quite recent, and they used the same launch studio that Cluey did, and they very arguably followed the exact Cluey playbook, but because the product was like stronger and did closer to the thing that they said that they were going to do. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, nobody talks about, oh my god, you guys spend like $200K on marketing. Nobody cares about it.
Yeah. I want to ask you about some other companies and their like marketing strategies because there was an interest. One of the investors from Andreessen Horowitz said you're like one of like the 0.01% of people who like really understand distribution. So I want to ask you about a couple. So like, what do you think about like OpenAI? Like, what do you think of their like strategy right now?
Yeah, I'd say like OpenAI is actually running like another variant of the Cluey playbook, which is when Sam Altman is on timeline saying, yo, AGI, give me an breath salt. And I'm like, man, okay, let's be for real. Well, like he's doing this like drum up like fear, and then all the Instagram headlines go like, yo, like Sam Altman just announced AGI, and like that's just another variant of eyeballing a product selling a vision that doesn't quite exist yet.
Okay, what about Anthropic?
I think if you just look at like monthly active users between OpenAI and Anthropic, it's clear that one person is winning, and I don't think GPT-5 is going to be gargantuanly better than any of the models.
But Anthropic like also stirs up controversy because they go in the headlines and they're like, oh, AI is going to take 50% of jobs in like 5 years or something. So
they don't do it nearly enough.
I think they need to be doing that more.
I mean, yeah, I think almost all content. Like it's also the reason why people will have like a super viral launch video and just flop. Like, bro, like where's the next video? And people just won't have have enough quantity of content. This is also why like there's been many almost Andrew Tates since Andrew Tate, but the reason why Andrew Tate won is like sure, partly because he's so engaging with the way that he talks, but also partly just because he makes more fucking content than everybody. Like I don't know anybody else who's been on as many podcasts and genuinely tried to get clipped up every time.
Okay, what about Donald Trump?
Donald Trump. I don't know, he's the fucking GOAT, bro. Look at the greatest president of the United States, bro. Like, if you think Donald Trump's like the way he's doing it, if you don't think that's working, like how about you go be president of the United States?
I mean, so he's running the Cooley playbook though?
I think everyone is running a variant of the playbook of social media has saturated most content formats that we understand to be cool like 10 years ago, and as a result, you have to differentiate yourself. And if the actual core playbook is differentiate yourself with content, then yes, Donald Trump is winning.
There you go. What about the differences between the platforms? Like Twitter is different from Instagram and TikTok. Like, do you have to be like more enraging on certain platforms than others?
I'll say there's like a few core learnings, and this might be like the most valuable thing I say on here. Because actually I have like a reason to speak on this. But Twitter generally is like super caption focused, and it's not video focused at like almost at all. The average scroll time on Twitter is way faster than it's going to be on Instagram, and it matters so much what your caption is. The tech Twitter specifically, like people really care that you're announcing something, even if you're not fucking announcing shit, but just like act like you're announcing something revolutionary. Because there's a lot of like high people, like fake high people who just on Twitter who be like, yo, like, this is interesting, I know all about this. So focus on caption, focus on the first frame that matters more than anything. On Instagram and TikTok, the attention span, the time per scroll is like slower. So you have about 3 seconds to capture someone's attention. And in that, like the caption does not matter at all. The only thing that matters is like how watchable is the actual video. I'd say on Instagram things should be vertical, Twitter things should be horizontal. And also as a general rule of thumb, and this is something that I don't see a lot of people talk about, but there's like different levels of consciousness that you have on the platforms. On Instagram and TikTok, you have a very low level of consciousness because it doesn't take that much to just sit down and watch a video. And as a result, that's why things like a mobile ad, like the fucking Flappy Bird ads, like those will do so well. You're operating at like probably the lowest level of consciousness, and it's just so easy for you to be like emotionally taken by something and then click it. On Twitter, because it's caption focused, you have to actually read the thing. You're operating at a much higher level. It's not as high as if you're like reading a book, but on Twitter, this is the reason why. If you're building something like B2B, or if you have like an actual value, and then like the onboarding takes a lot longer, and it's like a desktop app or it's like a hardware device, like you're much better off just solely focusing on Twitter. And this is true for any content space that's like largely caption first. Yeah, it's true for Reddit, it's true for LinkedIn. And I'd say there's different businesses that have no space being in. Like many businesses have absolutely no business being on Instagram and TikTok just because the average consciousness level of people there is going to be too low for anyone to actually.
So you have to like be more enraging. So why don't those companies just like take the page of the Cooley playbook and like, you know, like be more enraging on them? Like
I
it
would
just
say,
doesn't work for them?
I wouldn't like again, I wouldn't say that enraging is the playbook, it's like differentiated is the playbook.
Okay.
For example, like, when I said like introducing the Cooley marketing team, like that was a good video. It was just differentiated.
Yeah.
And it wasn't enraging at all.
Yeah.
I think if you can make differentiated content for sure, like Anthropic's fucking like coffee store, it was like a different thing. Why And people don't necessarily want to see something enraging, but obviously with the platform, like the reason you are so incentivized to make something enraging on Twitter is because on Twitter, the golden thing that you should care about solely is quote posts. If you look, and this is something that is just like, I've reviewed a bunch of launch videos from a bunch of founders, and every single time I see a bad one, I will ask them, when someone quote posts this, what do you think they will say? And it could be like if you're launching GPT-5, it's extremely obvious what they'll say, like everyone will jump into their take. And if you even you just have to imagine that it is very clear in your head when you quote post it, someone will say something about it, which is why you want to be like enraging, because then they can be really into the loudest. But also like you can do this in many ways.
Yeah. Okay. So we've kind of gone through a lot of the playbook here, but I want to hear what's next for Cooley. How does Cooley win?
How does Cooley win? I mean, right now, I generally have this long-term vision. I think, and like, do not take me out of the worthless, I'm just a random kid, but I'm pretty sure you have to hedge against both the world of ASI coming relatively soon and also the world that models just plateau here. And if models just plateau here, I'm of the opinion that among the consumer AI tool space, there's not been very many that are super interesting and super value add. And of the ones that are, like I'd say like probably the AI note taker is like one of the only ones that I've genuinely seen people getting value out of. So in the case of the models plateau, it feels to me that one of the most compelling things is like the AI note taker. So you want to be in that space. But you also have to imagine like, what if a model get like fucking ridiculously good? And if that's the case, then like the Cluey launch video was exactly like suggestive of if like GPT-7 happened, this is what we can be able to do for your life. And Cluey, in its current form factor, is translucent glass pane that appears over everything, augments the way you work on your computer. Like this is prime to enter that space as well. And I think the way Cluey wins, I mean, at our core, we're like an application layer product. So it depends on how well the models do. If the models plateau here, then our plan is to become the best AI note taker, starting with the computer. And the models get ridiculously better than you saw maybe yourself.
And I think that Cluey, is in some ways become infamous for this strategy. Like, I think that a lot of people look at it and say, this is not what tech startups should be about. You should be focused on building the product. You shouldn't be focusing on just the marketing of it. I'm curious what you say to those people, the critics.
Yeah, I think for every single successful person, there's like a graveyard of other startups who have failed and wouldn't share the opinion that, oh, you can just fucking build a thing and people will come. And like there's just so many people out. And usually the only advice you hear is from people who like Sam Altman who say, it's a lot easier to raise $100 million than $1 million. Like, yeah, if you're Sam Altman, maybe. But like realistically, most people with their college student, like you won't think that way. And these successful people, I think will say like what has worked for them is we didn't really focus on marketing because I was a nerdy engineer and I didn't really know how to do it, and I didn't need it, so you don't need it either. But in reality, like in their wake, there's 100 other failed startups who, if they had adopted this sort of marketing, like they actually would have it. And you just don't hear about them because they're not the ones that get flipped up and they're not the ones that are famous. And I would say if you actually looked at the net opinions of every single person and truly ignored the noise of every single founder who tried, had a chance and failed, like I think a lot of them would say like, yeah, look, I wish we had that market. And you wouldn't hear the successful billionaires saying we would just focus on product like I did. Like, man, check myself.
Who do you look to for advice?
For advice? It's hard. I feel like I'm like pioneering something different. Probably like Jake Paul, bro.
All right. Well, I think that's all of our time. Roy, thank you so much for being here.
I admire the hustle though. So, we reached the final session of TechCrunch Disrupt.